1-0. There we go. Oh my goodness, that was a bit of a rush. So I should be live now, and apologies, I said I would be live at just squeeze my bin. Gone walkabout. There we go. I said I would be live at 3. I apologise. We're a few minutes late getting in, which is just how it is sometimes. But isn't it glorious weather, folks? It is so beautiful. We've just been out for David's physio appointment, but all has gone well, which is great. So yeah, that's all fine. So sorry we're a bit later than usual. We will be again next week. We'll be at 3 o'clock again next week because he's got another physio appointment. And unfortunately, his physio appointments are Tuesday lunchtimes up in Belfast. So I've had to put these back. So apologies. I might put it back even a little bit further given the time we got back today. But the traffic was bad today. I don't know. Seems to be more and more traffic on the roads. It's mad. Anyway, let me show you my craft desk without further ado. There we go. Yes, here we go. It's actually the right way around as well, which is always good, because today we are going to make a masculine card. It is Tech for Stampers blog hop day, as some of you may know. I always do the Tech for Stampers blog hop. There we go. Put it that way. That's a message coming through. God knows. I'll look at it later. But anyway, so today the theme for the blog hop is masculine cards, which is great because I had just received my set of woven textures papers, and I looked at them and I thought, wow, wouldn't these be great for masculine cards? So this is what we're going to use to make our masculine cards today. It's called Woven Textures DSP, and it's got beautiful patterns. So you've got this. If I show you those, you can see both at the same time. So there's this sort of grey circular basket weave together with a horizontal basket weave in grey granite. And then there is this crisscross sort of Hessian crumb cake basic beige with this gorgeous, can you see this? I'll bring it a bit closer. You see this is like a dotted pattern on that one. It's just really lovely. Love that one. So I thought about using that, but I've got other plans for that one. The next 2 sheets are, there we go. So you've got another sort of, I don't know, it's raffia or something. Could be raffia or rope, plaited together. And this very dark early espresso sort of panels of, yeah, whatever. I don't know what you'd call them. Goodness knows, I don't know. Then we have these 2. This is like a diamond pattern in crumb cake. And then you've got this very much jute cloth type pattern, which is just lovely. I think those are all the patterns. Yeah, I think they are. And I've used various others. So it's a beautiful set of DSP. Really like it because it's so useful for so many, many things. I was thinking just making, do you remember the Easter baskets I made a week or so ago? Made out of these would look just gorgeous, wouldn't they? Like a straw basket, which would be lovely. So anyway, lots you can do with this. So what else am I using today? I am using these countryside corner dies, which are still available. Some of the projects, or I think all the projects, apart from the DSP, that I'm using today are all still in the last chance product. So it's worth getting if you're still wanting them. So I've got the countryside corners dies, which are a set of different sizes of dies of these lovely sort of rectangles with the corners cut off, I suppose is the way to look at it. Then I am also using Layering Leaves, this lovely stamp set, which coordinates with this Bough punch. These again are in last chance products, so they are still available. I love this set. The punch matches all of these leaves and these sort of bud things there. It's got a nice little splatter, which I like as well. So happy to celebrate you. Best wishes, sending hugs, thinking of you, for you. Thank you so much and hello. So a really lovely range of sentiments on it as well. And I am also using, because I just wanted to play with it, to be honest, having got it, this Elements of Text. This is an online exclusive, can't speak today, an online exclusive which you can get. And it's got this sort of vertical panel of text, written text. It's got this circle of written text. It's got a sort of splodgy typewritten text and these lovely gungy sort of splodges. I'm calling them splodge stamps because I don't know what else to call them, to be honest, but rather nice for background. So I do like a grungy background sometimes. So I'm also using early espresso and crumb cake ink, and this natural ribbon. I think it's called natural polka dot ribbon or something like that, but it's a natural ribbon with polka dots. And again, that is still available. So I'll show you the card that I'm making, which is this. I've used this one. I've got a slightly different DSP to show you different things today, but all I've done is used a white card base. I'll give you the sizes in a minute, and put a layer of coloured card on, then my DSP, then layers of the countryside corners cut, and the front sentiment panel, I've actually used the elements of text as the background for that, and then stamped the sentiment on it, stamped and cut out some of these leaves, put some ribbon behind it all, you can see that. And I was really quite pleased with it. The inside of the card, I've used the leaves and the splodges with another sentiment, and again layered it. And I've used the leaves and splodges on the envelope as well. Oh, bring it down so you can actually see it. There we go. So that's the card we're actually making today. I have prepared most of the bits. So let me give myself some room, so I have room to make. There we go. So I've got my envelope and I've got my card base. This is the normal card base, which is 21 centimetres by 14.8, scored at 10.5. If you're working with US size cardstock, then you want 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. Then I'm using this time, I used early Espresso on the first card, I'm using Crumb Cake on this card, and this is my first panel, and this is 10 centimetres by 14.3. For US cardstock, you want 4 inches by 5.25. And I have 2 of those, I should have 2, yes I have, because I want one for the inside as well. Then we're going to also have 2 panels of the same size, but one cut in DSP and one cut in basic white. So the sizes for these are 9.5 centimetres by 13.8, and for US cardstock that's 3.75 inches by 5 to fit the US cardstock sizes. So those are the bits. I have got a strip for stamping, and I'll explain why I've got a strip in a minute when I come to do the stamping. And then I've already cut my 2 pieces of the countryside corners. So I've cut one, a larger one. I think it's the third size. Let me just check that. I think it was the 3rd size. Yeah, the 3rd size I cut there in Crumb Cake. And then I have cut one smaller, which is the next to smallest one with the corners, not the smallest rectangle, but the 3rd one out, if you like, 3rd one down plus the 3rd one out, so it's the middle 2, and I've cut that one in basic white. And I've cut them, you could just cut a rectangle and chop the corners off, but if you look closely you'll see there is an edge. It just gives you a nice little edge, just a little raised edge on them, which just is lovely. So those are all the bits you need. I don't think I've forgotten anything. So we're going to start putting it together, and I'm going to do some stamping first, and then we'll put the card together. But I shall stick these bits together first. So we're going to stick the DSP. Oh, which side to use? I quite like that side actually now. I think I'll use that side. I was going to use this side, but I think I'll use the other side. So you can choose which side of the DSP you actually want to use. I'm going to use that Hessian sack type bit. I think I rather like that. So that's just going to fit on my layers because they're cut so that you've got a nice border all the way around with those layers, and that is going to stick on the front of the card. So you'll notice I'm using it as landscape, so I've cut it portrait, but we're using it that way up. So I'm just going to stick this on the front of the card. Like so. Right, and while I'm at it, I can stick this piece on the inside of the card, this layer. I'm going to stamp the white piece before I stick it on, so that if I make a mess, I've got my emergency side, which is always good. So I'm going to stick the layer inside the card here. It does make it a bit thicker using layers inside as well as on the top, but I haven't got that much dimension on the top of the card, so it's still going to be fine. Right, so we are going to start some stamping now, and I'm going to start by using the elements of text stamp to stamp the background for here. So I'm going to get a piece, one of my usual pieces, which is covered in stamps, but that doesn't matter because it's just to act as a background. You can stamp direct on here and just wipe it off if you wanted, to be honest. But so we're going to use Crumb Cake there, and I'm just going to ink up the stamp sort of in the middle of the stamp. across the middle. I don't need to bother about the two ends because I'm not actually going to stamp those ends. And then I'm just going to splodge it over the centre of my piece, trying to make sure it's covering either side. And we'll stamp that down like that. There we go. So it hasn't quite reached there. That doesn't really matter too much. What I'm going to do, no, I'm going to cover that. That'll be covered a bit with leaves. So you can actually move it along and fill in that bit if you wanted, but no, I don't think I will bother because it will be covered by my stamped leaves anyway. I'm just going to clean that stamp up. And then I could use some splodges on it actually, why not? Might use some splodges on it to cover that bit. So this is my splodge stamp. So I'm just going to stamp off and then stamp some splodges around the side. Like that. That just sort of fills in that bit. We'll just have a bit more up here, I think. Yeah, that's better. That fills in those little gaps quite nicely. I'm going to clean it because I'm going to use this with a different... No, I'm using it with the same colour actually, aren't I, in the middle. So there is the background to my centrepiece done. Don't need that bit anymore. Now we are going to stamp the splodges because we're going to have them on the envelope and on the inside piece. So I'm just going to use them just in crumb cake. So we'll have one splodge on this corner and we'll also have it in the opposite corner. And the same on the envelope. We'll have a splodge up there and a splodge down there. So those are my splodges done. So I can get rid of that one. And then I'm going to use my leaves. And I'm going to, of the different stamps of leaves, there are different leaves in this set. So you've got like this open patterned leaf with a sort of swirly centre. You've got the open patterned leaf with the sort of normal leaf veins. Then you've got one that looks a bit like coffee beans, and you've got a fill-in one as well if you wanted to use that on top of this one or that one. But I'm just going to use this open weave one, the sort of normal leaf one, but I'm going to use it with Early Espresso and just stamp over my splodges with a leaf. So it gives me a little bit of a pattern there, just behind there. So I'm not filling in the leaves, I'm just sort of stamping them over the splodges because I rather liked how that looked. Just like that. Yeah, I quite liked that look. So a bit of a grungy look, which I actually quite like sometimes. So I'm going to do the same on the envelope, just have a bit of a pattern on the envelope. Oh, that wasn't very good. I didn't stamp that leaf very well. Luckily, it's a clear stamp, so I can look through it. That's better. And line it up to redo it. So there is my envelope. Then I'm going to use the same sentiment I used on the first one, which is so happy to celebrate you for the back. And I'm going to do it again in Early Espresso. So that's my inside. So that's my inside piece done. And then on the front piece that I'd already stamped there, we're going to have best wishes again. So again, like I did on the first one, best wishes just in the centre on top of, that didn't come out very well. So again, I think my Early Espresso is starting to need an ink. But there we go. Luckily they're see-through stamps, so you can line them up again. So that is my best wishes on top of my grungy bit there. Then we're going to have some leaves that I'm going to cut out. And this is why I have got the strip. And the reason for that is when we look at the punch, the leaves are cut this way. So if I stamped them this way on a piece, so 3 like that, it's going to be difficult to punch them out. But stamping them on a strip means I can just slide it through and punch them out that way. So that is why I've used a strip. Always worth checking your punch for whatever you want to punch out, because then it's definitely yeah, my Early Espresso I think is starting to dry out, but I'm going to do a stamped off leaf because I don't want it exactly as dark as Early Espresso. And then I'm going to do the others in crumb cake. So let's put this one away because we've finished with that now. So I'm going to do one in crumb cake. I had re-inked my crumb cake pad a while ago, so that should be fine. And we will do the open leaf as well, I think, in crumb cake. So there's the leaves. I'm just going to have 3 for the front there. Oh, just put that away for a minute. Don't need it for a second. Put my ink away before I lean in it. When I was making the first card, I did manage to lean in the ink, which was not good. Luckily, it didn't ruin the card. I could play around with it and not have it not mess it up, which was good. So I'm going to punch them out, and I'm going to use the punch this way round. And the reason I'm using it this way round is because when I put this through, I can see exactly where it is. So if you like, I'm doing it upside down. So I'm squeezing it in from the side, putting the strip of paper. You can see now why I wanted to use the strip of paper. Make sure it's properly lined up. Nicely lined up in my punch. That just needs to come over just a fraction. That's better. And then I can punch it out. So then I can slide it along and do the next one in exactly the same way. So you can see now why it's really sensible to use a strip of card for your leaves, so that you can cut them out easily without wasting too much card. And then my final one, just lining up. So I'm lining up the stem in the stem area and then just twisting it to make sure the leaves are lined up. Hold it down a little bit to hold it in place, make sure I'm happy with it, and then I can finish the punch. So there are my leaves punched out. Tidy those up in a minute. So now it's about putting the rest of the card together. So I'm going to start off by sticking the piece inside. This is my inside piece. Put my sentiment on. So that can go inside. So you could use obviously any sentiment in any set you want. You could use flowers if you've got a man who likes sort of flowers, but I think leaves are more like a man thing. So I now need my ribbon scissors. So I'm going to put some ribbon behind. And all I'm doing with this is I'm just putting 2 sort of cross pieces across. So I've cut the edges at a slant, which is important so that they don't fray. And I'm going to have 2 pieces roughly the same size and just crisscross them. So I've cut the pieces just by eye against the size of the card. And then if I can find wherever my, where's that gone? I think I've lost, I've got a large one here, that'll do. I've lost my tear and tape, but I've got some thicker tear and tape here, which will do. So I'm just going to put a couple of strips of this in the middle of here, like that. And then with my pokey tool, I can remove the tops. There we are, just get rid of those bits as well if I get them mixed up. And then I can place my strips. So I'm just sort of crisscrossing them across the middle of the card. So one across there and one across here. And it makes just a nice sort of extra background to the card. You could use a more contrast in the ribbon, but you can see that I've just used the crisscross there. And then I'm going to stick this on, and I am going to... oh, there they are. I'm looking for my dimensionals because I'm going to put it on dimensionals. If I try and stick it flat across the ribbon, it will stick, but it's already got depth because of the ribbon below it. So if I use dimensionals, and if I'm careful, so I put them so that they fit in the gaps, it's actually going to help this sit neatly against the ribbon. So that's another little tip for you. If you're using dimensionals, so you can see if I hold this way up against here, you can see I've put these so that they're going to fit between where the ribbon is. And then I'm not adding, if I put one in the middle, it would add even extra depth to this. So I'd get sort of double depth and it still wouldn't lie very flat. But by putting them in these places, then it means I can, when I stick it down, these are going to stick in the gaps in the ribbon, if you like. So I'm just having this in the center, try and line it up neatly. So I've got my ribbon sticking out either side, but that now, can you see, sits neatly above the ribbon. So the depth, you can see down there, the depth of the dimensionals in the ribbon is more or less the same. So it's not a very deep card, but that just sits better than if I'd tried to stick it flat over the ribbon. So just a little thought there. And then I'm going to stick this on top. And because I don't want too much depth more, I could stick this on with dimensionals again, but I'm actually going to stick it flat because there's already quite a bit of depth in the card, especially with the 2 layers inside as well. And we all have to be careful about costs at the moment. So We don't want to have to pay extra for postage if we don't need to. And then I am going to just use these and I'll mix them up, I think, like that. So we'll have this one this side and these two this side, I think. And I'm using this. I've just got this from somewhere else, and I filled it with our glue because my fine glue thing just stopped working. It just got too bunged and I couldn't get it to work. So I bought these, and these work beautifully, actually. So, can't pick it up. There we go. So I'm going to have one. I think we'll just have it across there like that. And then we'll put this one the other end, doing the same thing. Just put a little bit of glue on the leaves using this lovely applicator. Have that one a little bit lower down. Just stick. And then this one as the final one, just on top of there. Going with my have odd numbers of things, which I like for both gems and for decorations. So I'm going to stick this overlapping there, but hopefully not cover my best wishes. There we go. Just put the top back on there so it doesn't dry out, because I don't want more fine glue drying out. There we go. There. So there is the card. I'll bring the other one in to show you. That's it, using the early espresso. This is using the crumb cake. Slightly different looks there. This one I've had put the leaves slightly lower down. It's up to you. And if you wanted, you could add some gems on top. I did wonder about using some gems. I've got some nice gold gems here, which I think would look quite nice. Or I have got, oh, no, they're not there. Oh, they've vanished. I did have some sort of neutral gems and I don't know where they've gone. Okay. I was going to use those, but I can't find them. Anyway, so we'll just have to, you'll have to imagine those. But if you wanted to, you could add a few extra gems. I don't think it does need any more, but if you wanted to, you could add a few. So there we go. There are my two masculine cards made for the Tech for Stampers blog hop. If you go to my blog now, then you will see, no, at 6 o'clock. That's right. The blog doesn't come out till 6 o'clock. Just checking the chat because I haven't been keeping an eye on the chat, but nobody's talking to me today. Hopefully there are some of you out there listening. But yes, all the instructions and the measurements will be in the blog, but the blog doesn't publish today till 6 o'clock because we publish them all together for the blog hop. And you'll be able to see the links to go and see the lovely cards my fellow demonstrators have made at the same time. So this video is obviously live and up, but the blog itself won't be up until 6 o'clock. So hopefully you'll be able to see it then. So I hope you like those cards. Thank you for joining me today. I think I pressed the right button for chat. Normally there's somebody there saying hello, but oh, well, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me, and do go to craftycarolscards.co.uk, sign up for my emails so that you know when these lives are going to be, as long as we're not held up by traffic from Belfast. So apologies again for being a little bit later today. And I will see you next week, same time next week around 3 o'clock. And then we'll be back to our more usual time at 2 o'clock. So do sign up for the emails and then you'll know when things change, because life is like that. It doesn't always stick to its normal schedule, does it? Anyway, bye for now and thanks for joining me.